organizing class today. So excited that you could come, and we've got some great people here. I'm so excited to share. So they're going to go ahead and introduce themselves right now.
Toni.
Hi, I'm Toni Scott Daniel, and I'm an artist and graphic designer, and I love everything that has to do with the home and making it warm and beautiful. So I started a YouTube channel a few years ago to be able to do that, to show people that you can create the kind of home you want and beautiful items without spending a lot of money. So it's a low budget, beautiful home show. So I'm here because I'm not a professional organizer, but I'm actually, since I'm an artist, I like to collect things because I always think I'm going to use that, and my house got cluttered. And I had a friend who was a professional organizer who came and just changed my life. She organized my kitchen, my closet, and she showed me some things that really helped keep me organized for like 5 years. She came, and everything is still pretty much the same, you know, nice and neat. So I want to show you guys some things that I've learned and some tips that will really help you stay organized, and let you know if I can do it, anyone can.
And hey guys, my name is Tori Toth, and I am a home stager, best-selling author, and lifestyle expert. And basically the way I use organizing is that I've got to clear out the clutter before you are about to go on the market so you can create those show-ready homes. And I've kind of seen it all. So I've got little tips and tricks along the way. I've been staging since 2009, and basically it's become an intricate part of my company because so many people just have so much stuff. So I'm really excited that we were all able to get together, ladies, and that we are live on Cass's channel. We did put a little bit of a presentation together, but you can go ahead and put your questions in the chat if you'd like. This is basically kind of like an open forum with a little bit of an outline going. So we are here for you overall, and we want to make sure that you guys are getting the most valuable information out of it.
I'm giving a shout out to Roxy Foxy because she asked for one. So, hey, and there's people from all over. I'm reading your comments now. I want to thank everybody who is joining us right now. This is great to have so many people.
So I just want to make sure you guys can see my screen, right? Let's make this bigger. Awesome, right? You guys can all see that?
Yes.
Awesome. We do have a hashtag. It's Organized 2017. So if you hear something you're like, please shout it out with that hashtag. And we would really appreciate it. And then, oh, well, that shouldn't be there. Just make sure that you guys kind of turn everything off, put the distractions away. I know some of you got a lot of stuff going on. You might have some kids running around, but we want to make sure that you are really getting some valuable information out of here. And we do have a home organizing plan. This is specific to my company, but you can get it at bit.ly/home organizing plan. And when you do, you'll also be getting other content from Toni and Cass as well, including her home organizing planner. So do you want to talk about that for a second, Cass?
Yeah, you guys know, if you're watching, that I need lists in order to focus. I'm really lacking self-motivation, and for me, organizing needs to be broken down into really reasonable 15-minute projects. So I have this organizing planner for you guys, and I use this all the time, and it basically takes a big organizing project and helps you break it down into manageable chunks. So you guys are going to get a copy of this for free. This really works for me. Instead of just saying, I'm going to organize the kitchen, you can break that down into really manageable little chunks and, you know, 15 minutes a day or 15 minutes here and there to get it done. So that's going to be included in the package you guys are going to get too.
Did we lose Toni?
I think we did.
Toni, where'd you go? I guess we'll see if we can get her back on. I don't know what happened to her. All right. So I wanted to ask you guys, or we both wanted to ask you guys a question. Are you still seeing my screen?
No, it's just black. Just black screen. We're using Hangouts for this. You guys know that live broadcasting and me doesn't always go so well. It doesn't always work out, but we're gonna get there. One of these days, we're using Google Hangouts, and the technology isn't the greatest. I feel bad. So I'm gonna let Tori throw up her screen, and I'm gonna go search for Toni.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I mean, this is kind of the easiest way to do live streaming on YouTube, is using Google Hangouts, which I wish they even made it easier considering all the live streaming we have going on here today. So we wanted to ask you guys, do you ever wonder why your home always seems disorganized? So if you can just put yes or no in the chat, and then, you know, tell us a little bit about what's making it disorganized. This way, we can kind of tailor our answers and this class towards those ideas. So Emma's saying hi from Calgary. Love you guys, and thank you for your shares, Isabel. Yes, 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 lots of yeses. And then what are some of the things, guys, that is making your home disorganized? Is it paper clutter, toys? You know, maybe it's toys, maybe it's, you know, clothes. I've got a problem with shoes. Oh, I see Toni.
Sorry, I don't know what happened. I just opened it in a different browser, so I'm back.
Awesome. All right, so I'm seeing, whoa, it's going so fast. Yes, so fast it's going. Toys, kids, clothes, toys. Some people are saying no routines, which we'll talk a little bit about. Kitchen is always a mess. Holy crap.
So I would love to just answer the kids clutter question, if I could, really quickly, because I feel like this is my forte. I ran a daycare and for 5 years and had so many kids' toys everywhere. And I have 3 kids of my own, so I get it. Toy clutter is a disaster, but I've tried every toy organizing system known to man, and there is one that works better than any other thing I've ever tried, and that is the sorted toy bin system. And what I mean by this is you're going to have to help your kids set it up by sorting the toys into their own individual containers that have no lids, because kids aren't going to take the lid off and put it back on when they're cleaning up. And have one for Lego, and one for Barbies, and one for cars. And I know this sounds like, oh, okay, this is something everybody does, but when you label those bins, really big picture labels for kids who can't read, it really is magic. It's magic the way they're able to clean up their toys so much easier when you have a labeled, sorted toy system. And in the beginning, you're probably going to have to do the 1 bin rule. So they can only use, you know, 1 bin at a time. And when they're done playing with that bin, they clean it up. But after they get used to the picking up when they're done playing, it really is magic. We had a full daycare with 9 kids, and I never had to pick up toys at the end of the day. And I wasn't like a screaming banshee either. It was so simple and easy for them to use. And I know a ton of you have tried this method, and it's working great for you. So for those of you who haven't heard it before, that is the sorted toy bin system. And I'm going to put some images up for you guys later so you can see what I mean by that.
And do you like that? Oh, I'm getting some. Do you like, I mean, are the kids actually using it? It's how, I guess, how early can you teach them how to be organized? Like, can you teach them in your stomach?
Yeah, no. But as early as 18 months, as soon as they are able to walk, obviously, a little bit, and recognize that they have a car and that's a picture of a car on the bin, they're able to start putting it back into that bin when they're done. And I think picture labels are the key. And I just print them off on my printer on huge sticker sheets. You can get them from any home office store. And I cut them out and stuck them on the front of like dollar store bins. It doesn't have to be expensive. Dollar store bins, diaper boxes. It really doesn't matter what you put your toys into, but the sorted toy, like the bin system, is definitely key. It's key to minimizing the toy clutter.
That's great. I love the picture too. It's sort of a learning process too while they're learning to clean.
How do you keep Toni, your kids are older, right? Like, how do you keep them clean?
Yes, when they were younger, I had I love wicker baskets, and I had toys in the playroom and in the living room, so I would keep them in a nice big wicker basket, several of them, and I wanted it to sort of disappear with the environment, the way I decorated. So I made these bins that were for their toys, but it looked like, you know, nice baskets in a room. They were all lined up, and I also they were open, but I had a little black material that I tied in the back of the basket so I could cover it up, and you couldn't see the toys. But that worked really well.
Erica asked really quick, what do we do with completed Lego projects? And if you guys have little kids, you know, Lego's like the bane of your existence. So for us, for completed Lego projects, we have a shelf. So we have a bookcase where we keep all of these sorted bins. And we have one shelf that's just dedicated to completed Lego projects. So we don't have to always clean everything up and put them away. Obviously, they can display those type of things, but when it's full, and they have to, you know, dismantle and take some things apart in order to build new things. But that's what we do for our completed Lego.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, let's move it forward. I'm sure we'll be back to the kid toy thing because I feel like that's a big one for people. Going back to my screen share, guys. Awesome. So how's about, have you tried to get organized and kind of just failed? I feel like if we're all on this call, we have. And so if you can tell us a little bit about why you think that happens for you in the chat, because we would love to know. It's different kind of for everyone, right, guys?
Right, right.
I know for me, sometimes it's just, my husband has a little bit different way of storing things, as do I. Luckily, we don't have kids, but we have animals who can certainly make a mess around the house. And I feel like I'll put a system in place, and midway through the year, it kind of just stops. It stops working for us, and then we just have it cluttered again. There's no clutter necessarily out and about in our house. People always think it looks amazing, which I guess that's my staging technique. But open the door sometimes, and it's just like, what happened? And so I think it's always important to review kind of the plans that you already have in place, and especially, you know, those organizing plans, and is that working for you and your family?
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on that really quickly, actually, before we get started with the slides. That's something I discovered when I was doing I was organizing as a professional organizer, other people's homes. Everyone organizes differently. I mean, what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another person. So if you've tried and failed with like these beautiful matching, you know, colored bins, and you're like, why isn't this working for me? It could be that that's just not the system that your brain naturally uses. So, you know, I have the test, the what's your organizing style. It's free on my website, so you can see, but basically there's 4 different styles. I call them the butterfly. That's a really visual person that needs to see. So out of sight, out of mind. So they will not use like a dresser even. They will not use bins that are solid colors. They need clear bins and hooks in order to motivate themselves to put things away. And I've even had clients that we've had to remove the closet doors, because the clothes would be all over the floor. But when you take the doors off and it's visual, they would actually put the clothes away. So I think identifying your style and your family's style is really key to finding out, okay, this doesn't work for me because this isn't my organizing style.
Yes. And is anybody in the chat saying why something isn't working? Maybe, maybe not. Can't see you.
It wouldn't work for me because I was always too busy. So I would just put it off and just not do it because I had so much to do. But after I got a system, I had to have a really easy, simple system to get things, keep things neat and organized. So I think, like Cass was saying, it depends on your style. And also, I love to see beautiful things. And I have lots of closets where I could just hide things away. But I finally got to the point where I have this really quick system to help me keep things in place.
You'll have to share that, Toni, in a little bit. So let's talk about 7 reasons why someone really never begins organizing. So if you guys are on the fence about this, about organizing and getting it all done, let's kind of talk about why you may be holding back. So let us know if any of these relate to you, right? You know, I can't create and keep organizing systems. Maybe this usually comes from a person who never really has been organized before. You know, I feel like many times people are never taught organizational skills, right? And then especially in their home. So they usually use that as an excuse, or in some severe cases, it really becomes their belief system. I know for me personally, I've had clients say, you know, my kids won't keep it organized, so what's the point? Or, you know, like, I don't know where I should be putting things. I grew up in a house that was very cluttered. And I feel like when that happens to you, you can either continue to be on that cluttered path, or you go the completely opposite direction. And as soon as you're able to have a house of your own, you go minimalist and try and keep everything under control. How about for you guys?
My mom was crazy, and I remember she cleaned like a maniac. And I remember rebelling. Like, I would never be like that. She would work, shift work, and come home and be 3 o'clock in the morning and dusting lampshades. Like, she was just insane. And we actually, I feel bad throwing her under the bus, but I'm going to tell you, she would say, we lived in the country, and when someone would pull into our driveway, she'd say, hit the deck, hit the deck. And we'd have to all drop to our knees and crawl and hide and never open the door for anyone. Even if the house was clean, she would have to have time to prepare and make it perfect. And so I rebelled, and I rebelled hard and became the biggest slob. And I just refused to end up like my mother. But that's not a great way to live either. I think you have to find the middle ground. And for a lot of people getting started, they're not doing it right away because they're perfectionists. I find that a lot of my clients were perfectionists, and until they had the perfect tools or the perfect plan in place, they were putting off even getting started.
I would agree with that. Yeah, Toni?
For me, I grew up in really small spaces, so we didn't have a lot, but it was always clean, but it was cluttered because we just didn't have room for a lot of things. And I sort of spent a lot of time fantasizing or dreaming about having a beautiful space to live in. And when I went off to live on my own, then I did have a nice space and I was a little organized, but then I just got really busy and put things off, and then and I was creating things. I was painting and doing all kinds of art projects. So I became a slob, and I started sort of hoarding things. I would collect things and keep them, and didn't want to let them go. So I had to, like I said, learn a system and stick to it.
Well, I think definitely, you know, you can throw up your hands and be like, you know, it's not my fault and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you can definitely change it. And it's all about mindset and learning some organizational skills. So I guess let's like jump into that. So we are getting people information that they need. Going back to the slides, guys. All right, so what is the purpose of getting organized? You know, when you get organized, think about what's in it for you, right? And then will it be enough to keep you motivated? Here is a quote from Zig Ziglar where it says, people often say motivation doesn't last. Well, you know, neither does bathing, and that's why we recommend it daily. This is going to be something that you need to be doing daily and staying motivated every day, or nothing's really going to get accomplished. So how do you stay motivated, Toni?
Well, I stay motivated by the end result. I love beautiful, clean spaces. Like I said, I'm always busy and don't have time to keep the place clean constantly. But I keep in my mind, wherever I'm going, I say clear, clean surface. So when I'm looking at my room, when I leave the room, I look around and say clear, clean surface. And I just, I have containers for everything. So I just pick up whatever's out. And when I constantly do that, I don't have much cleanup to do. So motivating, that's what motivates me, the way it looks and the way I feel. When I first had my house organized, it was just, I never felt like that before. It was just such a weight lifted off my mind. And I think there's a saying that says, when your places is organized, there's confusion in your mind, in your head, something like that. But I think the opposite is true. When you clear your space, you free your mind.
Liz Yvonne is saying, ooh, hello, live TV. Liz Yvonne was saying, do we have mantras?
Yes, I have a mantra. My mantra is 15 minutes a day keeps the clutter away, because I think I have ADD, and because I'm such a slob, I can't take a huge task on. I get really overwhelmed and then I don't get started. So for me, it's 15 minutes. And when I first started, I had to put it on my fridge. Like every day I have to spend 15 minutes doing something and make myself do it, force myself to do it. But I think that's really the key to organization, is making it a habit. And when you do something every day and you force yourself every day to do it, it becomes a habit. So for me, it's definitely 15 minutes a day keeps the clutter away. And still to this day, I have to force myself every night before bed to run around and put everything back in its place and spend that 15 minutes decluttering.
Toni, you have one?
It's got to be clear space, clear mind.
I like that. Yeah, mine's similar to Cass's, where I need to make sure everything gets put away before I go to bed. So it's when I wake up and walk down the stairs, it starts off nice and clean again, just to get dirty by the animals. So thanks for that comment, Yvonne. Let's talk about organizational skills. So the first one is making a home for all your items. And Toni or Cass, did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, they say a home for everything and everything in its home. I guess that's the whole key to organization. And And it's actually easier than it sounds. A lot of people say, I don't know how to create a home for something. So I'll give you a quick example. One of the first things I did was I got a cord box. So I got an empty basket or box, and I put all the extra chargers and, you know, phone like cords and all the extra literally cords and cables, multi-jacks, all of that stuff. And I put it in this box labeled cords, and then everything that was a cord had a home. And that's sort of what you have to do through your whole house. Like, where does, you know, your pens go, your extra pens, and create a home, and that's where all of your pens go. You're kind of getting the idea. Light bulbs, it can start small with just one little thing a day. Pick one small thing a day and create a home for it. And then go through your house and try to find all the things that belong in that home. And before you know it, you know, you're crazy organized. Just make sure you label those homes, especially if you have a husband like mine who isn't overly enthusiastic about putting things away in the proper spot. They say, like, they've actually done studies that have said a labeled space, you're like, I think 70% more likely to put something away if the spot is labeled. So it really, I say labeling is magic, but it really is magic.
Yeah, I think it really is. Was that me? Or, oh, it is the feedback. So also too, when you're creating a home, we want to group those like items together. So what Cass was saying, you know, put pens in one location, put you know, paperwork in another, and things like that. And then of course, keeping checklists and schedules. I know Cass has some checklists and schedules on her website. How about you, Toni?
I do. I keep a calendar right on my desk, and I write down everything that I need to do that day, everything I want to get accomplished. And I also put in a half an hour to just tidy up, or, you know, do the dishes or whatever it is I need. But it's, you know, it's just a simple little calendar, and I just I put check, you know, a space to check it off, and that really motivates me too when I get things done. And I also have a calendar on my phone where I keep appointments, but mainly the first thing I do is just write down all the things I want to get accomplished, and if I get them all done, I just add to it. So I don't want to make my list too daunting or too much. So I try to make sure I can check everything off.
And I think that is definitely another organizational skill that everyone should have, is that you want to have these manageable tasks, like Toni was saying, so you don't get overwhelmed and get stressed out and then just decide to quit. What about, I think, guys too, like picking your favorite room or your favorite spot. What's your take on, you know, starting on something that's going to benefit your overall clutter process, and but it's going to also kind of make you feel motivated?
For me, I always tell people to start in their master bedroom, which I know is like, the master bedroom, no one sees that. But the thing is, you see it. You wake up every single day to your master bedroom. And if it's clean and clutter-free and serene, that's going to just get you in the mind frame to continue that on the rest of the house. So even in my clutter, like the most cluttery that my house was, I always make the master bedroom a priority. And for me, I'm going to beat this to it like a dead horse, but I need to break it down into 15-minute tasks. I can't just organize the bedroom. I need to put away all the laundry one day or one part of the day, and then, you know, reorganize the top of the dresser or something like that. But having a clean and organized space that you fall asleep in every night and you wake up every morning is a great motivating tool.
I think that's definitely like, I can't remember, the power of habit, right? With the whole making your bed every day. Like once you do that, that's a keystone habit that will then eventually get you to start doing all these other little things around your house. So I never thought of it that way. I kind of like that idea. I have some decluttering that I need to redo in my own master bedroom.
I always like to organize my closet, or start with my closet, because Actually, my closet is sort of like a little sanctuary for me. I set up a little dressing table, and I have a book in there where I write down, at the end of the day, what I was thankful for, and candles, and just going in there in the morning and getting dressed, and and starting the day. Really, sets me off. So I like being in my closet since I organized it.
You have a walk-in closet, right?
I do.
Ugh,
I think I have some pictures of it. I'll show it.
do you?
Show
it.
Let's see. Okay.
I share my tiny closet with my husband. He has more clothes than me. It's bad. I mean, I would kill for a walk-in closet.
So would I. I think between our shoes and all of our clothes put together, it's a mess sometimes.
So I'm seeing your closet there, but I think you have to talk.
I'm looking for it.
There you go.
Okay. Do you see the closet?
Yes.
Okay. So this is it's not very big, but it's a walk-in closet, and this is after I organized it. Let's see.
I like that you put your shoes on top rather than on the bottom.
Yeah.
I like that there's a chandelier there.
I put this little chandelier in. It's actually something I got from Ross. It's very inexpensive, but I hung it from my ceiling to make it look more elegant. And I refinished a little dresser nightstand, and I put my perfumes and makeup, and I have a mirror. Let's see if I could see some more in the closet. Okay, yeah, I have hanging on the racks. I use the wire racks to hang my jewelry and old jars to put my bracelets and stuff in. But I have a little stool. I have a few tips that I use, like when I take the hanger off the clothes off the rack. I remove the hanger and put it somewhere so that it's not cluttering up the clothes.
And it looks like you color coordinate.
Yeah, I do color coordinate. I like to fold my clothes or roll them so that I can see everything in a drawer. And and one of the other drawers, I have some shoe boxes that I use to divide up the clothes so that it's easy to keep those organized.
That's really nice.
So I saw a lot of comments that they can't see the forest for the trees. And what that means is when things are really cluttered, I mean, I get it because I was there, super, super cluttered. Where do you start? Like where do you start? And I think for me, the reason I had so much cluttered space was that I felt like I didn't have a place to put that stuff, because the things that were in the cabinets, in the kitchen, and my closets, my drawers, were things I wasn't using all the time. So I was taking up the valuable space where the things I was using that were everywhere was taking up that space with things I never used. So then therefore I had to leave my stuff out. I felt like I didn't have enough storage space, but in reality I was storing junk. So I think the way to start is to just declutter, to grab a bag and find 21 things or 10 things or a box and find 5 things you can donate, like right now, like today.
Do it now. Well, that's kind of like the next thing too that we were talking about. Of course, you want to, when you're going through, and you want to make sure that you have room to grow. But a lot of people say that they can't, they just can't get rid of that. And really it's because they're associating an emotion with a material possession. For instance, I can't get rid of these curtains because my grandmother made them, or, my father started this coin collection, so I've got to keep it going. So when you organize your home, you're essentially changing your home and your habits, which can be overbearing for some. so they just kind of avoid organizing altogether. So how, what do you fear if you get organized? Guys, tell us in the chat. And then also, sorry for the noise. I have actually a bird that lives right above me. So if you hear him, I apologize in advance. How do you guys kind of get people out of their head, out of their emotions? Or how have you done that in order to be able to throw something out?
One thing that really works for me is a time capsule. So I don't know if you guys can see this. Hopefully I'm sharing this okay. But I make time capsules for things that are hard for me to get rid of. And I grab a box and I put the stuff in it. And then I label it like, if not opened by, and I'll put a date like 6 months in the future or something like that. And then the next time I come across that box, it's so much easier. It's just so much easier to declutter it if you've already, set it aside and put it in a box and made a time capsule out of it.
That's a pretty cool idea. I've never heard of that trick before. Cass is coming up with all the tricks today. Toni, anything that you do?
Well, I do sort of the same thing. If there's, I actually have so much space in my area for different things. I keep everything in containers. And if I haven't used it in a year, I get rid of it when I reorganize. So I reorganize probably once a year, and I go through everything and get rid of the things that I don't need. If I want to buy something that's similar to the items that I have, and there's no room in the container for it, I either do not get it, or I'll have to replace, what's in there already, so that there's only so much room in each container, each area.
Let's talk about like the pile system. If there's anyone out there in cyber world that doesn't really know about that. So you guys want to start it off? What are items that I guess should be kept?
Like, what are you saying? What are items that we should keep?
Well, just, if somebody, when you pick up an item, right, you need to determine immediately what to do with it. So how would you do that? And then what are the different piles that you should have?
You're saying like the keep, toss, donate, or doesn't belong. I'm going to find a picture to share with you guys of something that I do. So you guys can go ahead and share yours while I find that picture.
Toni, how about you?
Okay, I do have a system that I use. I'm going to bring up image. I call it the dock system. So it's a really simple way to, let me find my slide, hold on.
Hevakin says, I feel like you're me. I'm the same.
Okay.
Jen, because Genesis 2000 says she's afraid to succeed. She's a self-sabotager. Well, we're going to stop that right now, girl. Go ahead, Toni.
Okay, so I use the dock system when I'm organizing. It's DOC, and I like to think dock is sort of my cure for a messy room. So if the room is messy, I call in dock. D is for determine. So I look at the items in my area and I decide if I want to keep it or toss it or donate it or sell it. And then when I decide, when I have the items that I am going to keep, I organize them into groups. And then I take those groups and then I put them into containers. Containers for me is the easiest way for a messy person like me to stay neat, because inside the containers it could be messy. I like to get containers that I can't necessarily see through. So I like the little bins, the cloth bins.
Because you're a ladybug. That's your organizing style. I have you pegged. Sorry, go on.
So I can just toss the items in the container and put it away, and it's easier. It's just as easy to just put it down. To put it in a container than to put it down somewhere. So that's how I stay neat. And when I do my sweep of the room, when I say clear space, I just look around and see what's out, and I just toss it into a container. And I like really pretty containers, like baskets and pretty boxes. And I only had to keep the boxes neat, lined up neatly. But inside, I haven't gotten to the point where it's organized inside the container, but this is working for me right now.
So I'm just going to show you, can you guys see this okay? These adorable these are dollar store, they were $1 laundry baskets. And I just printed paper and put this way that I sort of sort and put things into piles when I'm organizing. And I find it motivating because how cute are those for $4? And they fold up really tiny. But when I'm organizing a space, I always bring these out, especially clothing. And it helps me to sort of get motivated to get rid of more. And just because they're so adorable, I keep using them.
I think just for me, I kind of use what I like. So if it's going in the trash, I'm just going to use a garbage bag or a box, or I'll put it in a clear kind of storage thing. I do a lot what Toni does. I will put it in pretty boxes, but not necessarily always organize what's going on inside the box, because I think that's a little OCD-ish. But I think it's a great way to kind of keep your items contained, and whatever's coming in is always kind of going out too, right?
Sure. Yeah, and I think containers are the secret. I think I have not met an organized person who doesn't use containers, but that's the point of like, what is your style? Because if you're a ladybug, that's what I call people who love things that look beautiful and clean. You want a bin that you can't see the stuff inside. But for somebody who's really visual, that's not going to work for them, because they'll forget what's in there. And then they'll have, jumbled mess inside bins, and they'll have no idea what's in the bins. So for somebody who's really visual, you need to make sure you either use clear bins or color-coded bins, or you have big labels on the outsides of them, or else they're just going to be containing forgotten clutter.
Right.
That's true. Finding a way, say, love those, Cass, especially that they fold up and then they're cheap. Maybe you could create that as a product.
Yeah. No, they could go to the Dollar Tree. But I do have all of those signs that are free printables that you can get if you guys just want to print them off. I'll put the link to those below.
All right, so let's move along. I don't know if you guys want to just check the chat, see if anybody's saying anything in particular. So losing the clutter, keep it, purge it, store it, toss, sell, and donate. We just talked about that. Now, what about someone who's kind of dealing with life moments and it's kind of hard to keep them organized? I know, Toni, you mentioned kind of that before, that you're always painting and or doing something that kind of sets you off track from your organizing plan. So what makes you kind of keep coming back on track, or continues on with your organizing process? Because you mentioned that you had an organizer in your house, and then you've been maintaining it for so long, which I find incredible.
Right. Yeah. What keeps me back on, when I get really busy, I do get messy, but just being in the room, in that environment, really drains me. It confuses me, and I feel bad. So I know that when my room is nice and neat and clean, then I'm clear to continue to create. It just wipes the slate clean for me to keep going. So that's really what motivates me, the way I feel. Because those of you who haven't organized or in a messy place, if you just clean up the space and develop a system. You can't, I mean, I can't tell you how much that just changes everything for your mood and just everything.
Right. And I really think that basically, all types of things can disrupt your schedule, whether it be divorce, baby, you get busy and you just lose your organizing plan altogether. So Cass, I want you to talk a little bit more about your planner and some of the ways that I guess people can kind of stay on track with that.
Sure. I think the key to getting started is to break it down, like you said earlier, into manageable chunks. So people will say, my kitchen's overwhelming. Putting on your to-do list, organize the kitchen, isn't going to happen. That's setting you up for failure right in the beginning, especially because a lot of people are perfectionists. So the idea of getting started without having a clear plan is literally paralyzing. So having a planner where you say, okay, I'm going to organize the kitchen, but one day I'm going to organize the spices, breaking it down into spices, pots and pans, glasses, Tupperware. That is the key to success. And that's the key to success, I think, for literally everything. I always say that if I could work 15 minutes a day, if I could work out for 15 minutes a day and get immediate results and have long-lasting results, I'd be a size 2. It doesn't work that way with fitness, but it works that way with organization. It really does. You can spend 15 minutes today organizing the junk drawer, and you're going to immediately get that gratification and that great feeling when you look at it and say, look, I did this, but plus it's going to last. It's going to be a long-lasting thing as long as you're using the right system. So I guess that's what I love about organization, and that's how I was successful. That's how I went from like drowning in junk to having a really clean spot, was breaking it down into manageable chunks. And Peter Walsh, the king of organization, he also really inspired me to let go by saying, if you're not honoring something, if you're not loving something and honoring it and displaying it, it's probably not something that you should be keeping. So I was holding on to a lot of stuff because they were expensive, or because I felt guilty getting rid of it. And it's so much easier when you start letting that stuff go to stay organized.
So do you guys literally put on your calendar, so for 15 minutes at 12:30, I'm going to be doing the spice rack or something like that? Do you literally have to mark it out, or you're just kind of generalizing, this weekend I'm going to get this done?
I do. I literally put the time, from this time to this time, I'm going to be doing this and this, and try to plan out my time for the day. And when I check it off, I just feel so excited. I checked it off. I did it. So that really helps me to stay on track. And like I said, I do a few things, really important things that I need to get done, and then I'll add to the list if I have more time.
For me, I'm like a hot mess. And I don't like to have strict schedules, because I'm like, you can't tell me what to do, even if it's myself. I'm always like sticking it to the man. So for me, a bullet journal is key. And what a bullet journal really is just a regular notebook. And then I will put in here, things that need to be organized. And then I will open it up to the page when I feel the urge to purge, and I'll just check something off the list. So I made a list of like 50 things I wanted to do. And then when I feel like, all right, once a week I got to tackle something, I can grab off of the list. That's always sort of ongoing. And that way I don't have to say, like, maybe Monday I don't feel like doing my socks, but maybe I'll feel like doing a junk drawer. So I find that this system works for me, because I may have a problem with authority, but it works for me. And I've never been a planner person, but a bullet journal, which is basically a notebook that you create whatever the heck you want inside, is like a lifesaver.
Yeah, I like that too, when you don't necessarily have the schedule it all planned out. I kind of just say, this is what we're doing this weekend, husband, and it gets done by Sunday. It's all done by Sunday night. But that's because we don't have the crazy chaos of the kids bringing you all over the place. and then stuff like that. Back to the kids. So how do you guys educate, you know, the household, like the rest of the people in the house, to make sure that they are kind of keeping up with that organizing plan?
It's bribery. I bribe my kids with screen time because I don't want to reward them for purging or donating their things with a monetary value. And it is hard to just, you know, it feels good to donate to charity, but sometimes that isn't enough for a kid to really motivate them. I do push that, but I reward them if they donate 21 items from their room, they get a half an hour of screen time. And so they only get an hour a day. And when their screen time's up, it's up. And so picking up their toys, doing a chore earns them back some screen time. So it's bribery, that's for sure. But we're ruthless about taking away their tablet, and they will do just about anything to get it back.
Well, that's one of my biggest problems because I try to do everything myself. So delegating projects is something that I had to learn to do. But I do have a meeting and say, you know, this is what I did. This goes this place. This goes this place. And luckily, my kids, they do. They're pretty good at picking up after themselves, and they do whatever I ask them to do. So sometimes I have to keep reminding them, but they will do whatever it is I need them to do. I just need to, like I said, learn to delegate more because there's a lot more. I automatically say, you know, I need to do this, and, you know, I need to do it my way. So that's one thing I'm working on.
Yes, and like I had said too, we kind of try it for a little while, and then if it doesn't work, we try something else. I did want to share this image with you guys, and then can you guys talk about zones, or Cass, can you talk about zones and then subzones maybe? Just so people understand that a little bit better. And this, by the way, is definitely a staged closet. There's no way anyone could live like this.
Oh, I think you're frozen. I'm not. Oh, I see it. Yes, I see it.
So I guess, can you just, Cass, can you talk about zones and then subzoning kind of everything so people get that?
Sure. I think zone is really, I call that, if you guys watch my channel, I call that finding the valuable real estate is what I call that. So in the spots in your home where you're using things the most, that's where you should store it. So an example would be my kids always color at the kitchen island for some reason. And so that I used to store their artwork and their coloring books and things like that in the toy room. And they'd bring it upstairs to use it in the kitchen, and they'd leave it there. And then I'd be like, why is your coloring stuff all over? Well, obviously, if that's where they're using it, that's the zone that should be the craft zone. So what I did was had to create a spot in the island, clear out all the drawers, and make that their art station. And that is where the things are stored. And I think that's really key to staying organized. If something is hard to put away, if we have to walk up a flight of stairs, we're probably not going to do it. And your kids probably definitely aren't going to do it. So establishing zones in your house really means, okay, if you knit in your living room, you should be storing your knitting projects and that type of thing in a basket right beside your favorite knitting chair. That is the zone for that. Or if you love reading books in your bed, you should have a little bookshelf or a little spot where you store those on your bedside table.
Yes, I would definitely agree. So like, and then the subzones too, or so when you decide to pick out your zone of where you're going to be storing something, maybe you would have, let's say, your knitting needles in another type of storage solution than you would your yarn. And then, but all of that is tucked securely into a drawer near your closet. Although, do you knit, Cass? Is this why this came up?
No, I don't knit, but I have a lot of subscribers who are really big into crafting. So definitely I think you need to keep your craft supplies in a spot, but I think it also helps to, create subzones, I guess, of the things that you use the most often and make them really easy to access. And another way that this really helps, such as organizing your closet, keeping the tops you wear the most on the top bar, right? And the easiest to access, so the closest to you, and the things you're not wearing as often, like heavy sweaters, at the back of the closet or at the side. And that's what the value of real estate is all about, or the zones. It's the same thing, is finding spots in your home that are the easiest to access and putting the things you use the most there and keeping them together.
Yes, and I think one other thing too with the craft, like the craft area, if let's say you don't have a big enough space, because I think it was Gsun 2000. They're saying that they don't have a lot of space and they just can't figure out what to organize. And I live in New York City, so I feel your pain. I don't have enough space. I wish I had a 2,000 square foot house to store everything in. So I would just say, if you don't have a lot of space, you need to start going vertical. Okay, start putting things up on your walls. You could see behind me, we're using the Alpha system from the Container Store, and we have floor to ceiling shelving and pull out drawers and things like that. So it's containing everything that's going on in our office on 2 walls.
I have a lot of people who are saying that they just don't have the space. And this is where I'm going to get harsh, okay? We can't grow our walls. We can't have more space. And unfortunately, when we have a smaller home, we have to live smaller. We have to have less stuff. And that might seem unfair, but you'd be surprised how many things that you're holding on to and I'm holding on to and we're all holding on to that we're not actually using and loving. And letting those things go is going to open up so much more space for the things we do love and the things we do use. So if you're feeling overwhelmed and cluttered and like you don't have enough space, step 1 is always to purge, and purge often. Even if you feel like there's nothing I can get rid of, there really isn't. I want you to challenge yourself to 21 things. So finding 21 things, and I have a printable here. It's called the 21 item toss challenge. And that's going to be part of the printable package too. Some of you saying the link isn't going to work. I promise I'm going to fix that for you guys. But it's just 21 things. You can pick 1 a day that you can get rid of. And I promise you, everything on this list, you don't need any of it. And you are all probably holding on to it. So this is a really great way of getting you started when you're like, I have no idea where to start, is having a list like this to challenge yourself to accomplish.
And speaking of crafting, I have a lot of things in this office, a lot of crafting materials. I don't know if you can see it, but behind me I have a bookshelf full of fabric bins where I have all kinds of supplies, and underneath my drawing table is some little storage drawers with paints and crafting tools and supplies also on this bookshelf. Now that bookshelf is all black because it's in a tight area, so I wanted it to sort of disappear. So I have most of the containers black, and underneath I have labels, so I could just pull them out a little bit and look at the labels. But it goes all the way up to the ceiling. I have you can't see over here, but I have tons of paintings, and I have a wire shelving rack where I have my vertical papers and portfolios and all kinds of things. So this room actually has a ton of stuff in it. Over here too, I have some ottoman, storage bins that I have supplies in also. So there's always room to find things. And like I said, everything else is in baskets and containers. I have a basket right there full of cutting tools and scissors and all kinds of things. So
I like that, to use the ottoman as storage, but then also a stool underneath your desk.
Right. And
you could also probably be doing squats while you're working.
I have lots of packets
of it all
there. I have tons of Dollar Tree floral silk flowers, because I always use that. And like I said, there's only so much room for everything. And if it is full, I will replace it. If I needed to buy something else, I will get rid of the things I'm not using in there.
I love that you use a storage ottoman. I want to show mine here too. Can you guys see this white ottoman here? It is full, like full to the brim of things that I use for videoing. So lights and backdrops and all this sort of stuff that otherwise would be clutter everywhere. And I think that is a great example, is finding furniture pieces that double as storage, especially if you're short on storage. There should be not one bed in your house that doesn't have pull-out, those pull-out, roll-out bins underneath to store things. And invest in a coffee table that opens up in a storage, or ottomans that you can store things in. There are lots of ways that you can use double duty furniture to totally maximize your storage.
Awesome. I'm just looking through some of the comments. Oh, so sorry, Diane, for your loss. She's looking for qualified help in Raleigh, North Carolina, to try and get her home organized after her son's passing. So we can certainly try and look at our professional organizing sources and see if we can get you someone.
Family, I have to give a shout out to LV family because you're hilarious. I keep reading all your comments and you're so funny. She doesn't know where to put her mother-in-law. She has no room for her. She doesn't know where to put her yet. It's so funny.
Out the door.
Yeah.
So we are at just about an hour. We could probably stay on for a little bit longer if you guys would like. Are you guys okay with that? Or are you?
I'm okay with that. I did want to address, I saw a lot of comments about your husband though, and I get this question a lot. So I wanted to address that really quickly. A lot of people say, what do you do when your husband doesn't help? And what do you do, when he just isn't helping around the house? And let me tell you,
get a new husband.
Yeah, no, you could get a new husband. I always say this. Listen, if it's a love him, a leave him situation for me anyways. I spent probably the first 10 years of our marriage just nagging and begging and crying, and it isn't as important to him to have a really clean, immaculate house. That's not a priority to him. And me trying to force that on him as a priority wasn't working. It was making us fight over things that really in the big picture weren't really important. Excuse me. So for me, I've given up on the nagging of the husband, and I've tried a nicer approach, and I'm killing him with kindness when it comes to organization. And yeah, I have to overly give him cookies sometimes if he does put away stuff. I'm like, good boy, you put yours, not so condescending, but you're getting the idea. And I found that motivates him. Me being pleased with him and excited when he's doing these when he loads the dishwasher, I'm like, well, you loaded it. Not like, yeah, you did it once. I do it every single day. I've stopped taking that approach with him, because then he's like, I'm not going to do it next time then. She's not even appreciative. And the more appreciation I show, listen, we know it's ridiculous. We know we should be doing it anyways. But when I fake that appreciation, then he's doing it all the time. So I sort of transformed my unhelping husband into a more helping husband by tricking him with love.
That is so true. When you do compliment anyone, really, it really motivates them to do it again. So my husband does the laundry, and I'm always like, oh, I'm so thankful that you do the laundry and you do such a great job with, my clothes and the kids' clothes, and it's a really big help. So, and my husband used to, when he started doing the laundry, he would never fold the clothes. He would just, throw them in a drawer if he put them away at all. And now he's doing more. He's being neater. He's folding the clothes, and he's he really takes charge of that, or whatever I ask him to do, or I compliment him on. And I think that's true for anyone. Anyone loves to be recognized for what they do. So if you just show appreciation, it's also with my kids. If I really dote over my kids for, washing the dishes or doing whatever. They keep doing it. They do it without me asking.
Yeah, and it seems a little, I mean, we all know that it seems like something we don't need to do, that they should just be doing it anyways. But if you have a spouse who isn't, I call it the give a cookie trick. And I've talked with this with good friends of mine. When we want them to do something, sometimes you have to give them the like, good boy, you did a good job, even though it's such a silly thing. A lot of you may disagree with this, but for me, it works, you guys. He is more motivated and more willing to do things just for praise. It's crazy pants. I hope he's not watching this because he'll know that I'm giving him a cookie and it's all a lie, but that works for us for sure.
I think my husband fish for compliments all the time because like if I'm out and he's doing something, because we have an understanding that, you know, the house is both of our responsibilities. We're both busy people outside, and we both want to live under a clean, organized roof. And so really we clean together and we organize together. And I know that's probably not very common, but it is just funny because lately he's been doing more of the stuff and he's like, oh, I did this, 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 and this. And like he listed off 1,000 things that he did. I'm like, oh, okay. So I should use the complimenting trick, Cass.
Give him a cookie. Give him a cookie. Good boy. Men are ridiculous. Easy.
I just find that funny. So funny. So another reason why people might not be organizing too is because they need to hire, let's say, Mr. Fix-It or something. Like maybe their actual organizing system is broken. So what are some easy ways that we can really, you know, get people motivated when it comes to that?
Yeah, I think people think you have to spend a lot of money to get organized, or that you need to invest in like a fancy closet organizing system. And they do have really inexpensive options. I know Neat Freak makes these like Velcro on your rod hanging systems, and each piece is under $20. But even in the beginning, I remember when I first started, we didn't have a lot of money. We were living on a single income family and it was very small. And I would use like diaper boxes and I would cover them with fabric or just leave them as is. Or I remember cutting cereal boxes to make drawer organizers. You don't have to have a perfect system. You can always upgrade that in the future. But you can start today with literally nothing. I think so many people put a focus on having shelving, or I'll organize my bedroom one day when I get new bedroom furniture. And that is the wrong way to approach it. Use what you have, make the best with what you have, and don't worry so much about it being perfect.
Yes, and it's Sonia, it's Neat Freak hanging system. That's what you just said, right, Cass?
Yeah, they sell it at Walmart. It's called Neat Freak. Basically, if you go to a Walmart and you're looking at the closet organizing systems there, it's Neat Freak. And I'm giving it a shout out because it's the cheapest that I've found. It's excellent quality. And yeah, they have so many different options.
And yeah, you don't have to spend a lot of money. I organized my refrigerator with containers that I got from Dollar Tree and takeout containers. So I use these shoe boxes as bins, and it's real easy to, it's clear. This is the only thing that I like clear containers for, because I can see everything, and you can just pull a container out and take whatever you want out and put it back in. But I like to keep everything open and just put everything in containers.
When we're done here, can you do me a favor? I need you to go onto my website and take the test, because you are such a ladybug. I'm a ladybug too. And we're like anti-clear containers. So I need you to take the test. It's clutterbug.me, and it says, what's your organizing style? Because I'm going to bet all my money that you're a ladybug, that you definitely seem like a ladybug organizer.
Yep, I think I am. But I'll take that test. But
I will too, because I don't know what I am.
But yeah, I'm just saying, you don't have to spend a lot of money. I do have a lot of use the containers that I already have, and I also make pretty boxes out of just regular cardboard boxes to store things with.
Yes, I think some of my tips were just featured on today.com, and I had mentioned even using like the wine. I like to drink wine, ladies and gentlemen, if you're on here. So even using like the wine box cases that all come in those, they all come in like, it comes in a 12 compartment type of a box. So you could use those to store your winter accessories or any type of things that don't necessarily need to be out all the time, and you can put them in your shed. But you're still getting that organization inside the box. Let's see. So let's go to just some organizing overall tips, right? So you just want to make sure that your room is functional. And if you guys have any specific tips about any of these, just feel free to jump in. And as I mentioned before, think vertical, especially in small spaces. We use a lot of vertical space inside of our apartment, or in our house. We don't have an apartment. And then flip-flop it too. So like what Toni did, her shoes were up on the top of the closet, which I think is kind of a genius idea, because you always need shoes. Meanwhile, you're always fumbling through the bottom of the closet to try and find a pair. Right. So I think that totally works better. How about a second floor basket or some type of storage? So if you have 2 floors, you can have a basket by your stairs, and then whatever needs to go upstairs goes into that basket, and then vice versa. So you have a basket that can maintain different things on different floors, if that makes sense.
That's a great idea. I usually just put all of my things on the stairs, but the basket that's perfect.
We do that too sometimes, is putting things on the stairs, and then just the next person who's going up them, take it all up, you know, so everything is going back into its specific floor, and then obviously back in its home on that floor once it's there. Cass's favorite thing, label everything. And like I mentioned, like she mentioned, use photos so kids can pitch in. And then definitely try and use furniture pieces. And this is very important too in smaller homes and smaller spaces, to hold storage as well as kind of be functional for furniture. And I think another good thing is backdoor storage. I know in our bathroom, we don't have a linen closet, but we use the back door of our bathroom to kind of hold some of our supplies. Now, of course, that wouldn't necessarily work if you were selling your house, because you want to make sure that people think that there is a closet. But for daily things, you can certainly use the backs of your doors for more storage. Any other tips, girls, that you guys can think of?
I saw that you said think vertical. So I wanted to talk about a quick paper tip. Okay, so when it comes to paper, a lot of people pile their paper, especially crickets. They pile their paper everywhere. And I want to just give you a quick reminder that horizontal is hidden. So when you're piling your paper like this, you're forgetting what's in there, and it's literally hidden. Whereas if you're filing or stacking your paper vertical, it's visible. So vertical is visible, horizontal is hidden. So I love the idea of action files. I am addicted to accordion file folders. You can get them on Amazon. I got this from Indigo or Chapters here in Canada. And this is how I store my papers. So I just labeled everything. I have one for incoming bills and mail. I have one for my blog stuff. I have one for sort of inspirational papers that I want to have. I have one for school papers for my kids and newsletters and all of that, birthday invitations. I'm addicted to these because they really, really work. So that's it's called an action file, having an action file, making sure that it's vertical for paper.
I think I get stuck with that sometimes. I just kind of, I print stuff off just so I don't forget it, and then I leave it in a stack sometimes, and it's just like, you kind of forget it anyway. Does anybody want to share any other photos just to kind of show organizing processes, or?
I have to look, so somebody else go. I'll open up my folder really quickly.
Okay, I have some inside the slideshow, so let me just put that on. I think this is a great way to kind of organize your entryway. You're utilizing as much space as possible inside this closet. Obviously, you're using hooks so the kids can put their things away, and even this shoe organizing system, which this had a name for it, but they went out of business, right? I have that in my closet myself.
Yeah, Neat Freak makes those hanging shoe sorters too for $7. It's a great price.
Oh, they were called Simply Stashed, but so you're saying Neat Freaks makes those?
And the Dollar Tree too. You can get them at the Dollar Tree. They're not as great quality, but they work.
Yeah, and then you just want to keep some type of a shoe rack in there. Again, this has some clear baskets, some open baskets that doesn't have a lid on it, and then all of anytime you're using closets and hanging something, you kind of want to use the same hangers just so it looks a little bit nicer and all cohesive. Here's another entryway where everything's kind of out, but then it still looks unison because of the colors. And then it's also whatever's happening on one side is kind of happening on the other side. So it looks, again, cohesive and unison, but it's still holding a massive amount of stuff in here. You know, it's got baseballs and shoes and all kinds of stuff for outside. And then a command center too, for those of you who are always on the go, you want to make sure you didn't miss anything. These are great as well. Do you guys have anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to show, sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, speaking of shoe organization, I use these shoe organizers to store my Christmas decorations. So I use some closet, hanging shoe racks to put my Christmas bulbs in, and also the clear ones to store all of my ornaments, and also the lights and everything. So it really helped to maximize my space in the container. So I was able to get all of my decorations in from the tree, and also the garland from the stairs, and the decorations on my mantle in one box. So
I love how universal shoe organizers are, and that's really a great idea. What I do is just kind of use what's going on in the regifting, whatever I got. If I got tissue paper or any bags or even any gift boxes and stuff like that, I'll just kind of reuse that and put away my ornaments. Cass has something up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to show you, because I promised I would, the kids' organizing system. And I see a lot of things on Pinterest. I'm like, that's so unattainable. So I want you guys to know that this is an attainable, easy to do system. And these are just 2 IKEA shelving. So they were pretty inexpensive. And Dollar Tree bins. So each of these bins was just $1. I printed off the picture at home, stuck it on. This is from our old playroom, and this worked amazingly well. It also works for toy rotation. So you see the bottom 2 rows, those are the ones the kids are just gonna naturally gravitate to, little kids, because they can't reach the upper ones. So I would switch them out on a regular basis. They'd feel like they have new toys, and it really helped keep the toy clutter manageable. So I am so in love with this system. If you have little kids, definitely, even if at first you can't invest in the shelving from IKEA, get yourself some dollar store bins and picture label them like this for your toys. It will be a life changer.
Do you have those images up on, for somewhere they can download them, or they have to go out and find their own images?
I don't. I should though. But you know what? I have a toy organizing video coming up tomorrow. Actually, I'm doing a big toy purge. So I will throw all of those up and really talk in detail about my organization. Right now, my kids are older, so I use a different system, still using the same shelving though. So I'm going to show you guys that tomorrow here on my channel.
What about My bird is going nuts. What about, hey, cut it out up there. What about like all the small pieces? What do you do with those? Put them in baggies or something?
You mean like the little tiny pieces to say Lego or something like that? Yeah, we use plastic Ziploc bags. So if there is something that has little tiny pieces, we'll put them in Ziploc bags. But most kids' toys, especially for toddlers, are pretty big. They're pretty big. So we have one for little people. We have one for Barbies. We have one for cars and trucks. We have one for blocks, and one for musical instruments. You're kind of getting the idea. And there are obviously things that can't go in that system, bigger things, but you'd be surprised how many little things are just all jumbled together. The other problem with toy organization, the systems that people use, is their kids will just sort of throw everything in a toy box. Oh, I hate toy boxes. Here's why toy boxes don't work. If your child wants to play doctor, they literally have to dump everything out and make a huge mess to find all of the pieces that they need. So using a sorted system like that is going to make them make less of a mess when they're playing. And it makes playing more fun, I think, when all the pieces are together and organized into bins.
So where are some of your favorite places to shop, girls, like to find organizations, storage solutions, and things like that?
Definitely Dollar Tree for me. I'm really frugal. I don't like to spend a lot of money, and I'm always there anyway. You're trying to find something for crafts. So Dollar Tree has lots of containers and different organizational pieces. So I shop at Dollar Tree and Walmart, usually someplace inexpensive, but I also love IKEA.
Yeah, IKEA. That's true. Never really thought about that for organization, but I guess, you know, you use that for the shelving too, Cass. There's also organize.com and organizeit.com where you can check out different organizing products there. I think Home Depot and Lowe's, places like that, have some pretty budget-friendly organizing solutions too. Even Staples.
Yeah, for me, it's all about the dollar store too. I shop at the Dollar Tree or Dollarama here in Canada, or Spoiled. We don't have a lot here in Canada, but Dollarama is pretty amazing. I cannot justify spending $5 on a bin that I can get almost the exact same one for $1. And I'd rather spend money on the things that go in the containers rather than on the containers anyways. But one thing I do splurge on is these IKEA shelving. I don't know if you can see it. I have one literally in almost every room in my house. The living room, every single kid's room. I have one in our, when we first come in, the mud room. I'm addicted to these IKEA shelving units. They're inexpensive, they're crazy good quality, and they're perfect for organizing.
Yeah, I love those. I use those all the time in staging sometimes, especially when I need to stay on top of a budget. So what are some quick ways you guys recommend staying organized? Like, what are quick reminders? So I would definitely say create some type of a routine chart, to make sure that you are following the plan. You can use Cass's planner, of course. So you are following it and you're kind of staying motivated as you're going along. What about for you guys?
Yeah, having a nighttime cleaning routine was pretty much the key for me to get my house under control. So I recommend every single person not only have a nighttime cleaning routine, but post it like on your fridge or someplace where you're going to see it, and then put on your big girl pants and make yourself do it. Doesn't matter if you're tired or how much you worked or how exhausted you are, you spend that 15 minutes every night to do your cleaning list and make sure your cleaning list is attainable. So for me, I spend 5 minutes running around picking up clutter, and then I make sure the kitchen's clean and the bathrooms are wiped, and I do a quick spot mop if there's something spilled on the floor. But I make sure I do it every single night so the clutter never gets out of control. And when if I do miss a night, it's just like I wake up the next morning and it's what clutter breeds clutter. If you have things on your counter, you're just going to more likely to set other things down. So starting in the morning every day with a clean slate is key to keeping your house clean and clutter free.
I usually just pick up as I go along. Like I said, every time before I leave the room, I'll look at the room and think clean surface, and I just pick up whatever's there. Usually there's not too many things around, so it doesn't take a lot of time. I just throw whatever it is that's out in the basket or the container. So like I said, I like to keep containers wherever I am, so that everything has a place and it's real easy to put it back in. So I just do that as I go along, and then at the end of the year, that's when I do a real thorough cleaning and organizing.
I think it's once you get all the Christmas stuff out, it's like, how do you put it all back without being disorganized, right?
So I see Amanda's comment. I just want to go back to Amanda's comment because she says, I find I have to be perfect when organized, and that's why I haven't really started. And let me tell you that I did professional organizing for years, and every single person's house that I would go into that was a disaster. Almost, I would say all of them were perfectionists. I really believe that people who have problems with clutter and disorganization are perfectionists. It's not that they're lazy, it's that they don't know where to start because they want to have a clear, concise, perfect plan. And so my advice is to remind yourself that good enough today is better than never tomorrow. Just do it. I'm going to swear, do it half-assed, you guys. Just get it done. Don't worry about being perfect, especially when it comes to organization. You know, throw some stuff in a tote and worry about making it perfect later when you have more time.
Exactly. And I love this quote from Michael Hyatt: perfectionism is the mother of procrastination. So yeah, you don't want to do that. Let me just, if you guys want to put your comments in, or if you have questions, we can answer questions for just maybe another minute or so. And I wanted to put up our information so you guys had all of that. Basically, for me, I think kind of staying organized would be, you don't want to shock the system, you know, so don't try and do everything all at once. Make it a group effort if you can, or at least try and make it fun for you, and set yourself some, you know, give yourself some rewards for a job well done. And then always tweak that system. So
I've had a lot of people say that the printables isn't working. So I'm going to quickly right now just add to the description a link to printables. And then if any of you have signed up for this class, you can sign up there. I'll put a link to that below too. Then we'll email you everything directly. But in the meantime, I'm just going to add right here a place where you can go get some of the printables that I talked about. For more of those printables, I'm going to have to get a working link from Tori, and I will add that. So check back.
The bit.ly link is bit.ly/home organizing plan.
Yeah, they're saying it didn't work. I'll put it in there again.
Because in the description, you have it as bit.ly organizing plan. So that's why it might not be working.
I will re-add it. I will re-add it for you guys. And yeah, you can definitely sign up, and then all of those printables will be emailed to you.
Yeah, and as long as we have your email and a way to communicate with you guys besides just being here on YouTube, we can help you throughout your process, whether you start today or in 6 months from now. So please take a screenshot of this so you guys have all of our information and where you can find us, because why not be everywhere? And I'll leave this up for a couple more seconds. Does anybody have any questions?
I'm just trying to get this workable link here.
HTTPS/ Cass for the bit.ly.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Okay, hopefully that worked, you guys, so you can get a hold of all those printables for sure. And make sure you come back to this channel tomorrow, where I'll be doing like in-depth toy purging and really show you how to organize your kids' toys so they'll stay organized for good.
RRL is asking, what is your regular cleaning routine? Toni, you want to take that one?
Well, like I said, I try to clean, just pick up things in the room before I leave it. I look around and I pick up things and put them in this place so that I really don't have much to do because I don't have a lot of time. I do every night. I make sure I get the dishes clean because that's part of my clean surface. So I want to have a clean sink. I do a lot of cooking, so I do have to get my kids to help me, clean the kitchen and delegate a little there. But that's basically it. I just try to remember before I leave the room, just pick up a few little things. If they're out of place, put them back where they belong. And that way I always walk into a clean room, and it's very little work for me.
Love that. RL is asking, when are you going to do this again? This was great. It would be good if it was scheduled and made known in advance. So RRL, please make sure to sign up at that bit.ly link. This way we'll have your email and then you'll know the next time. And we'll try and put it out there more.
Yeah, and you guys, I did put it on the Facebook, so if you haven't already, what the heck are you waiting for? Go and like my Facebook page and not miss anything like this for sure.
Yes. Are there any other?
I just wanted to share this 15. This is my, I don't know if you can really see it, but every day I do one small task, one small cleaning task. And then I have the 15 minutes a day, which is doing a load of laundry every day. I empty and load the dishwasher every day, and I quickly clean the bathrooms and the kitchen counters. And that's pretty much it. I mean, really, I guess I'm not that clean of a person, but I think if you do a little bit every day, you never have to have that big scrub. I have friends who are like, how do you get the ring out of your bathtub? Honestly, every couple of days I spray my bathtub down with cleaner, and I never, ever, ever have had to ever scrub it. So we don't get a ring. And I think that's, doing a little bit every day is saving you so much time. It really is. So make yourself a schedule. It's not going to look like mine. It's not going to look like anyone else's. Make yourself a cleaning schedule. Put it on your fridge or on your counter and make yourself do it every day until, it becomes a habit.
I agree. I think there are several cleaning habits out there that if you do daily or every other day, you are saving yourself a lot of time and you'll get to have more playtime on the weekends. So for us, I know one of the big things is just vacuuming every other day because we have 4 animals in the house. So it definitely, they make the mess. They make the most amount of the mess in our house.
And if you're really cluttered, you'll probably find your cleaning is really tidying. And that's what I used to do in my super slob days. I would clean the house, literally take hours because I'd be picking up the stuff. So if you're in a situation like that where things are really cluttered and you can't just spend 5 minutes wiping down counters and surfaces, you need to schedule a weekend and literally work your butts off for the whole weekend and clear the clutter, or one room of that clutter, and then keep up your cleaning schedule on that room. And then the next weekend, maybe clear another room. You can't stay clean and clutter free until you get there in the first place, right? So scheduling time to make it a priority, because you'll never have to spend hours cleaning your house again. Once you get it clutter free and then keep maintaining every day for 15 minutes, you'll never have to be like panicking because your mother-in-law is coming over and clean for an entire Saturday again. Those days will be gone, I promise you.
Dave K, that's how she does it. That's how we do it. He's saying, how do you stay picked up when you also work a full-time job, are a YouTuber, and have a family? You stay on schedule and you create habits that work for you.
And you have less stuff. That's the honest truth. I struggled to keep some rooms in my house organized. No matter how often, they would just get disasters again. And it was when I was ruthless and I purged stuff like I was ruthless, they stop being disorganized all the time. And unfortunately, if you really feel like you're struggling and no matter what you do in your attempts, you can't keep on top of things, let go of the things that aren't important so you can have more time with your family and you can enjoy a clean house without having to clean it all the time. I don't like cleaning. I don't like any of that. So that's the whole reason I got into organization, is so you can be less lazy, so you can have less time, is you can spend less time cleaning your house. Organization and doing a little bit every day is the secret to being super lazy and having a clean house anyways.
Yeah, you're right. Purging is definitely the best way to keep your house clean. I just cleaned out my basement and the closets. I had two large closets that I hadn't even looked in. We were just drawing things in there like boxes, and I pulled everything out and it filled up the whole basement. It filled up the whole room. So I just, donated most of there was things in there like equipment that I could sell that were still in the box, and just got rid of everything. So I have so much room now in those closets. I was able to take a lot of equipment out of my office and, and really redo the basement for my kids, and it just feels so much better. But you'd be surprised at how much stuff you have that you don't even need, you don't use, you haven't even seen.
Yeah, I'm doing the great purge of 2017 in my house right now. That's what I'm calling it. And I thought I had a pretty, clutter-free house. I went today to the donation bin. My car was full. I was like hoping I don't get pulled over. Literally the back of the van, on the kids' seats, the passenger seat beside me was full. And I'm only like a quarter of the way through the stuff I have planned to declutter. I am amazed at how much I'm holding on to that I didn't even realize that I wasn't using or loving. Literal junk that I have in closets or, inside drawers. And it's been a very eye-opening experience. So I'm going to challenge you guys to do the same, to do some huge purging in the next few weeks and see a huge difference in how easier it is to keep your house clean.
Awesome. Well, I think we are about out of time. I know you guys are still asking some questions. But you can put your questions in the comments. We'll look through them and answer anything we can. I would also say, again, go sign up at that bit.ly link. So we do have communication and all of our other social channels, so you know where to reach us. Any goal that you have, Toni, for 2017 in regards to or home organizing? Let's just start there.
Just to stay organized, because like I said, it just really makes me feel good, and it helps me to get things done, my projects done. It clears the room for new ideas, so to speak. So I'm just gonna stick with my program of keep picking up as I go. Also, I mean, I say I pick up little things, but on Saturdays I do things like, vacuum and dust and clean the bathrooms. So that's the only, I devote some time to that every week. But I'm just gonna stick with this, and everything has been pretty great.
I think for me, my organizing goal is just going to be trying to keep better schedules and just a plan overall, as well as tweaking any systems that we have. And I'm kind of going through that now. But I will leave the final word to you, Cass.
Yeah, this year I'm embracing less is more. So I'm never going to be a minimalist because I have some ClutterBug tendencies, hence the name. But I'm definitely, trying to become as minimal as I possibly can, because it's easier. Life is easier when you have less stuff to take care of. And every time I'm getting more out of my house, I'm getting more back, more time, less stress. And I really want to share that with you and with all of you who are watching. It really does work. It really does work. And you guys know I'm not a huge Marie Kondo fan, but maybe she was on to something with the whole living with less thing. So I hope you guys join me and join in the Great Purge of 2017. And let's see, you know, how, if we can do it together, we can just live with less together.
Awesome. You want to close it out too? This is your channel.
Thank you guys, everybody, so much for watching, and hopefully we can do this again. And if you do have any questions, put them in the comments. I'm going to spend the next half an hour going through and answering your questions. So thank you guys so much. It was a total pleasure, and thank you both for being on with me. It was really fun. And make sure you guys go check out their channels. I have the link below, and subscribe to these guys as well. So thanks so much, and we'll see you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.